Faisal Iqbal.
Thank you, Faisal sahab. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Naeem, I'm going to beat you on time. First of all, I'd like to say that I'm honored to be part of this panel, who are present here today, and a lot of credit goes to Mr. Ijaz and his team for giving us this platform. And in these kinds of activities they do every month, and seeing so many people from corporate sector present, for events like this is really encouraging. Instead of sharing any personal story, I'd like to share with you a success story of a commodity, palm oil. I'm associated with this industry since 1999, and before that I was also part of Mobilink for a very short while. So I'm looking after Pakistan and adjoining markets of Afghanistan and Central Asia. So we quickly start. MPOC is a semi-government Malaysian organization. We have offices in 10 different countries of the world. Our objective is to promote Malaysian palm oil as a commodity all over the globe. And the objective, since we are a non-profit organization and we are a trade facilitation body, and in short we can say that we are like the Export Promotion Bureau of Pakistan, and MPOC has offices in 10 different countries of the world, practically in all continents, and each main market looks after the adjoining markets. We have Asia is the concentration. Asian one of the biggest consumers of edible oils. I think more than 40% of the global oils and fats produced is consumed in Asia. So Malaysian palm oil, it's a global success story. From nowhere 30 years ago, this commodity has become one of the biggest and largest produced edible oil. And it's a very interesting fact that Malaysian palm oil, or palm oil which is produced in Malaysia and Indonesia, it's not even originated in that country. It originates from Africa. In early or late 80s, this was brought by British people as an ornamental plant. Like we have palm trees around across Main Boulevard in different parts, different streets. But in early 1900, they got the idea that they are on the tropical belt, and this crop is a perennial crop which grows on the tropical region. So they started commercial planting. Till 1975, only 60,000 hectares was under plantation. From there onwards, in the last 35, 37 years, the plantation has spread up to 5 million hectares, making Malaysia one of the largest players in the edible oil, having 27% share in the global oils and fats produced. Overall, for this 6.7 billion population, we need 170 million tons of edible oil, which is growing every year very rapidly. And soybean, corn, sunflower used to be the oils who were leading or consumed globally. But in the last 30 or so years, palm oil has completely swept the market and has taken 27% of the share in production and 56% in trade. A lot of countries produce a lot of oils, but they are consumed locally. So Malaysia and Indonesia export most of their edible oil, and which is meeting the growing demands of the world. We all know that the challenge that our planet is facing is the scarcity of the resources, which is land and water. It is estimated that in 2050 the population will be 9.3 billion people, which is 50% more than what we have right now in the span of about 30 years, 35 years. And this 50% increase in the population will require twice the amount of food that we are producing at the moment. So we have to ask the question that are we ready to meet this phenomenal increase in demand of food? In a lot of countries like China and India, they are showing exponential growth, and their per capita consumption of food is increasing every day. So here comes the idea of smart crops. From this small chart, you can see that overall there is 240 million hectares of land which is under cultivation of edible oils, out of which soybean takes 40%. But that 40% contributes only 29 or 27% of the oil, followed by some other examples of 13%, 10%, 27%. And you see that small chunk of the pie, palm oil, which takes only 5% of the land, which is 12 million hectares, and it produces more than 32% of the oil. It's 5 times more efficient than any other edible oil crop. So this is what we are looking for if we need to feed and we need to continue producing efficient edible oil, which is sustainable, which is healthy, which is accepted globally, then we are looking at more examples what we are being followed by Malaysia and Indonesia. Pakistan is, an agriculture-based country, and unfortunately, we have to import more than 75% of our edible oil, which is an irony because we are spending about $2.5 billion on the export of oil only from Malaysia, which is approximately, I think, about 10% of the total export revenue. This makes me look good for Malaysians because I'm representing their interest in Pakistan and my region. It makes you feel bad that we have to import so much of edible oil, whereas we are an agriculture-based economy ourselves, should have paid more attention to edible oil crops. The reason that we are so deficient is because our farmer prefers cash crops like sugarcane, wheat, rice, pulses. They're not very familiar with edible oil, and they're not been given the education to plant edible oil, and they don't have the fixed prices. So these are some of the reasons that we will continue to be the net importer. That's what we see. Pakistan will always be the net importer of edible oil, but what can we do? What we need to do is follow the footsteps of Malaysia, how they have developed one crop, palm oil, into a global, or for them it's like the biggest economic indicator and biggest economic activity generator. Palm oil alone in 2011 brought in $37 billion into Malaysia's economy, which is, I think, more than overall exports of a lot of countries, developing and developed. With this, I would like to just leave a message that what I would love to be is part of an activity generated in Pakistan, where we can pick a commodity, and hopefully, as Mr. Naeem said, that we're looking at a prosperous Pakistan 10 years later, inshallah, and start developing it and turn it into a massive global presence crop. We have so much resources in Pakistan, so much land, so much irrigable land, and following these footsteps, following this success story, we need to come up with a couple of crops which are going to change the face of Pakistan. Thank you very much.